right, Friday. Coming to you live from the Bill Ford Tough Studio, Boomer and Gio. Friday, August 11th. We've got a lot to do as we head into a nice summer weekend for you. Gio will be back on Mondays. He is in the final couple of days of his vacation. Eddie is trekking through Iceland, doing whatever you do in Iceland. We've got Zoo, we've got Fliegelman, we've got CeeLo, and we've got you at 877-337-6666. We actually have, believe it or not, and we will get to in a little while, a lot to do with the baseball. Max Scherzer spoke on a podcast. I don't want to say eye-opening, but very interesting, a lot of the things he had to say. The Yankees with an interesting move and some comments about that move we'll get to as well. And you've also got preseason football with the Jets and the Giants playing this weekend. The Giants playing tonight to get things started against the Lions, and then tomorrow, Jets and Panthers. And I spilled coffee on my shirt, so if you're watching on TV, it looks like a mess. I do wash my clothes. It happened at 5:30. That sucks. Long live America, Boomer Esiason.
How you doing there, Jerry? Good morning.
I'm all right.
It does look a little like it's tie-dyed. So it's
I'll
not too
take
bad.
it. I'll take it.
Maybe they can. I know they were taking a close-up shot, and maybe Steven and the folks over there at CBS Sports Network can show the folks exactly how it looked. There it is. It doesn't look that bad.
It doesn't look that good.
No. You know what you should do? Here, I have coffee here. Let me just.
No, don't spill the other side. No,
that's what I'm saying. If I put it on the other side, then it will look like it. That's the way it's supposed to be.
Does coffee come out in the washing machine, or is this one of the things that stains?
No, that's
it stains your teeth.
By the way, that's why you can throw it in there with a little bleach, or you have some Shout it out.
Is that what you were using when you had to shout out your groin?
Yes.
Where were we? Was it the Memorial Day weekend show?
Yes, yeah.
That was something like that.
Yeah, and I spilled coffee on my white shorts or something.
That's
exactly so I had to shout that out.
So I could shout it out, but no, you're not going to spill coffee on the other side if you don't mind.
Just to even it out, we can do that.
I'm fine. I'm good. It just stinks that it happened a half hour ago, and this is what we deal with. What can I say?
Exactly.
And then he has, and we'll get to the football in a minute, and the Boomer's got one of these moments where we come in, and you got Flelo finishing up their program.
Love the Flelo program.
And the conversation, I don't even know how we got to this, but the conversation, it was CeeLo's shirt that he's wearing, which you will see on CBS Sports Network in a little while. Yep, the red, white, and blue. He looks great.
Got the stars on the shoulders and everything.
And Boomer stands up as he's sitting down, and he goes, "Long live America," which, all right, that's how we kick off a Friday. Pretty good.
Well, that's how I feel. So every time we're in the summer and it's a Friday, that's the way you got to feel. You got to feel like, this is an American summer, and you got to get out there and you got to go and enjoy, especially around here with all the beaches, all the golf courses, all the bike paths, everything.
I completely agree.
And you got to get out there and you got to go do your thing. And then I'm watching, I'm in the elevator coming up this morning.
Yeah.
And, we have that Captivate
the video screen.
The monitor, the video screen. In the elevator, and I always feel like that's the 30 seconds of my day where I actually get smarter.
Yeah.
Because I learn things. And there was a thing in there that has like a 5-3-2 thing to make your life better. 5 things, 3 things, and then 2 things that can make your day and your life better. So I have to look it up because it happened so fast. I caught the end of it. And I'm going to 5-3-2 my ass off this weekend.
I did. It's funny you bring this up because I would say about 15 minutes ago, was
this after you spilled the coffee on yourself?
Yes, this was after I spilled the coffee on myself, cleaned up the desk and everything like that. And I opened up YouTube because I was looking I wanted to see I hate to say I wanted to see, but I was curious how bad the hit was last night in the Seahawk game where the kid got carted off with a concussion. Pete Carroll believes it's nothing that's serious enough, but he doesn't think there's anything more than that. And so you go to YouTube. You ever end up on YouTube and you kind of wonder why they give you the videos they give you? Because clearly...
It's an algorithm.
Right. So I'm sitting there looking at it, I'm like, boy, I have weird viewing habits when I started noticing what I was watching, but whatever.
I can imagine what comes up on your viewing habits.
Take a shot. What do you think?
I would say a vagina.
No.
I would say a penis.
No.
I would say
no.
You and Al talk a lot about body parts. I don't know what it is.
Fliegelman makes a good point. That's Al's algorithm, not mine.
Yeah, but you're sitting there talking, and you always have a smile on your face when you're talking to him about these things.
It's fun. All right, well, while you're...
all right, so that's your algorithm.
That is not my algorithm. A lot of them are, believe it or not, cooking shows. A lot of them are concerts that come up with bands I like, comedians I like. And then there was one, and I only bring it up because you mentioned the 5-3-2 thing about improving your health and your life and how things can be better. One of them was...
I'm all into mindfulness these days.
There is and that we saw that on Hard Knocks too, with the mindfulness lane in the end zone with the mindfulness trainer. I don't know what you call them.
That's a mindfulness trainer.
So one thing that came up was one of these health guys that has, I guess, research shows. We always talk about exercising every day, and we will. By the way, I want to get into Zoo at some point this morning. You are going to be so impressed with what he is doing with his life. We will talk about that at some point this morning. This guy says
he's
that
5'3" his ass off.
Yes, he is. That while 5 and 6 days of exercise a week is amazing, there's no downside to it. Just a simple 90 minutes a week can increase your mood, your energy, and your fitness level by like 30%. So you've got your 5-3-2. I've got 90 minutes, and Zoo is on a transformation journey that is outstanding right now.
I mean, Big Zoo already looks great.
His face looks great, doesn't it?
The problem is when you continue to lose, hopefully you'll lose some of that jowl that you have.
Yeah, that's the next thing up here.
I mean, when I lose weight, I always get really thin in my neck, and I feel like I don't look.
Like a chicken neck?
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
And it's going to be interesting to see because I've only known you as Fat Zoo.
I actually started working here, so my ID when I started working here I was probably about 260-ish.
Yeah.
So I actually look a lot different. I think I've shown Jerry a couple times, but it's it's been a little while since we've seen this going, but I can't wait for that to happen. Probably a month or two away still, but we'll get there.
Keep shooting for it, man. Keep going, brother.
He's doing a really good job. So anyhow, that's some of the oddities to get the day going. So football wise, I actually did watch some of this. I have a lot of baseball I want to get to today too, but I figure since you had a couple of games last night, you got the Giants getting on the field for the first time in an actual preseason game tonight for whoever is going to play, and then the Jets with their second game tomorrow. I did watch a little bit, believe it or not, of the Patriots and Texans last night.
I watched a little bit of C.J. Stroud. I mean, it's hard to
very difficult.
I mean, look, these kids. This is the first foray into it. It's going to take a while. I thought the Patriots were going to be a little bit better offensively early on, but they moved the ball a little bit. Mac Jones looked okay. There was a couple of things that Bailey Zappi did that was okay. I mean, CJ's fine. I mean, again, anybody that has a rookie quarterback starting for them, it's going to be a grind.
Yeah, it's going to be tough and very difficult.
I don't care what sport you play in. Very few rookies go out there and just completely dominate the sport.
Especially when you're not on a very good team.
Right. And, that team is rebuilding now, and they've made a lot of good draft choices. They've signed some pretty decent free agents. They're not going to be a slouch, I can tell you that. I mean, they'll only go as far as CJ takes them and his learning curve. Same thing with Bryce Young. Same thing with Anthony Richardson. All these young quarterbacks are going to struggle at some point. They're going to make some spectacular plays just because they're young, they're athletic, and they'll rely on their athleticism at some point during your game, and they'll get out of something and make a spectacular play, and we'll all think that they'll have arrived. And then the next play, they'll throw a stupid interception.
Sure.
Or they'll drop the ball. Or they will not see a blitz and take one right in the back of the head like Zach Wilson has.
All part of the learning process.
Yes.
So what do you, as a New York guy, you got the Giants tonight, the Jets tomorrow. We saw a little bit of the Jets last week, obviously. What are you looking for as you start this journey of basically a 21-week journey into the playoffs, hopefully for both teams as they get started tonight?
Well, I just think for me, with the Giants, I want to see defensive improvement. We're not going to see a lot from the offense. These teams are not scheming against each other. They're just basically running basic packages, letting players go out there on the field and try to do something that they're familiar with and not ask them to do too much mentally, because everybody's going to be hyped up. All the young kids are hyped up. This is the first time they actually put on the uniform and they go out and they're going to be playing in front of fans and going against another team. So, everybody's anxiety level is through the roof. And, some kids handle it better than others. So you try not to make too much out of it. But, of course, for the Jets, it's the offensive line. For me, on the Giants side of things, you just want to see Wink Martindale's defense getting better and better and better and better. And they went out and they try to fix some of the problems in free agency and the draft, and hopefully that comes through for them, because if that does come through for them, I do think, like I told you yesterday, that their offense should be around a top 10 offense with the pieces that they've added and with a better Daniel Jones in this offense in his second year.
Yeah, and also with the contract, he's got to feel relaxed and ready to go and really feel like the leader of the team. Now, pressure too, I know that. Yeah. But I also think, as we discussed earlier in the week, you think about where he was going into this part of the summer and into the season a year ago, as opposed to the way he walks into that room now. It's like two different people in two different organizations.
Well, remember, his growth was stunted because of the instability of the Giants front office, the instability of the coaching selections, and all of that. And sometimes, it is a lot about personalities, whether or not personalities can get along with each other. I think that's what happened with Hackett and Wilson out in Denver. And Daniel was so young and so green, and came from Virginia. Didn't come from a high-profile school. It wasn't like he was coming out of the SEC from LSU or Alabama or something where every game it's a live or die game, that kind of thing. So I just think now that he finally has the coaches that have kind of unlocked a little bit of the athleticism that he has, and also has permeated into his head, don't turn the freaking ball over. I think they'll let him loose a little bit more this year.
Which would be nice to see.
They have to let him
And
loose.
you see the talent level, too. Even watching some of the clips that, and I know it's nothing, it's just practice, but you see the ball he throws. And the talent's there. We know it's there. Now we'll see if they let him do it. And then one of the other things you discussed a lot this week, too, is, the Eagles are the favorite in that division.
Yep.
There's no question about it. And like I said, I forgot the Cowboys even won 12 games. I knew they were good. I knew they were in the playoffs. I remember all that. The Cowboys won 12 games last year, and I feel like there's no buzz about them going in. And Washington is Washington right now. They are basically doing damage control with the whole Bieniemy stuff, so who knows about them. This is a division that, while I don't think the Giants will win it, they're going to have every opportunity to, because of the changes in Philadelphia that you think could take them some time to get accustomed to.
Well, they lost their defensive coordinator and offensive coordinator. And, Jalen Hurts was great last year. I mean, he's the difference maker within the division. His ascent to one of the top quarterbacks in the league was obvious to all of us, and his performance in the Super Bowl was one of the great performances in the history of the league, and especially, the fact that they lost. I mean, if they would have won, he's the easy, hands-down MVP. Yep. And one play, just one unfortunate play for him, but nonetheless, he is the unquestioned leader of that team moving forward. Now the question is, without Shane Steichen, who is now the head coach in Indianapolis, and hopefully he'll be able to do with Anthony Richardson what he did with Jalen Hurts. Without Shane Steichen, it really comes back to Nick Sirianni, the head coach. He may get involved into calling plays and all of this and handling the quarterback, because the quarterback still has to be directed. He's not Patrick Mahomes just yet. So he still needs direction. He still needs somebody to remind him, don't turn the ball over. Mm-hmm. And we saw this last year in Buffalo. When Brian Daboll left, all of a sudden, while Buffalo got off to that great start, and about 5 weeks into the season, they looked like the best team in the league.
Yeah, they did.
But all of a sudden, a turnover started to happen. The defense got injured. And then you have to kind of pivot, and you got to kind of change. And I think they just relied so much on Josh Allen that he got a little loose with the football. And that's what Brian Daboll did not allow when he was there. So he's got to kind of calibrate what's going on up there in Buffalo. And I think hopefully that doesn't happen to Jalen Hurts, where he lost Shane Steichen, the voice in his ear, and now all of a sudden he thinks he's got to do more because he's got the bigger contract.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. So I heard Rob Saleh yesterday talking a little bit about, the freedom that Aaron Rodgers has on the field and how they basically talk through a lot of things. But it's nice to have a guy who's been an MVP out there leading the way, and he sees different things and they can communicate. While Hurts was amazing last year, he's still a very young player. And I guess the question I would have based on what you just said is, how much freedom will he have? How much, I don't want to say leadership, that's not the right word. How much can he dictate what they do?
Well, that's the thing. He's a young player. He shouldn't have that much freedom. I don't think.
Not yet.
I don't think. I don't know the young man personally, and I'm not around him. I do appreciate what he has ascended to, but I do think that there has to be somebody that is still directing him. It's not like he's won 3 Super Bowls and he's Patrick Mahomes and he's won an MVP. He's still a young player, still developing, certainly can still get better. I asked Andy Reid this week because I interviewed him for Game Time. I said, Patrick Mahomes actually said this a couple of weeks ago. He goes, I could still get better. And I'm thinking that's a scary thought for the rest of the NFL if that kid is thinking that way.
Yes,
but that shows you the level of dedication that he has to be great at that position. I think Jalen has the same want to and the same desire. That's probably one of the reasons why he turned down that quarterback documentary series. So, but you still have to have somebody directing him. I mean, he's still a young man, and you don't want him out there making rash decisions because he feels like he has to because he's got the money in his pocket now, and now he's got to try to make every play. You got to just try to hopefully guide him in the right way and then let him do it naturally as opposed to trying to force the issue.
Was that your first time talking to Reed extensively? I know you know him. I know you've talked
I've
to him
interviewed
before.
him before for
you
CBS,
have?
NFL Today, and everything. Yeah.
Okay.
Over the years, yeah, I've covered it. I've done their Monday night games, talking to him on the field before the game and everything. He's great, actually. I mean, I know he's got some personal tragedy in his life, but he is great. He's funny. He's informative. He doesn't hold anything back. He's not going to give you too much on their offense and stuff like that. But what he will tell you is some of the things that they're expecting to see during games, and he doesn't really hide it that much. Like you talk to Belichick before a game, it's like, hey, how you doing? What's going on there? Hey, Coach, oh, no. Now, Phil Simms got a lot out of him because they had a great relationship.
Right. From back in the Giant days,
yeah,
sure.
of course. I come walking in there, it's like it's like a lockdown.
Like
I'm not
everybody
telling him
else.
or anything. He's got a big mouth and a big microphone.
yes, and yes.
Well, by the way,
Yeah.
By the way, did you see Shady McCoy went on our
Yes.
friend Colin Coward's show?
Well, I saw the headline just before I came in,
Yes.
and it's exactly what you've said for years.
Well, I mean,
What he said.
Yeah, because when I interviewed Shady McCoy
Yes.
for that game time, that's exactly what he told me. And he said Eric Bieniemy can be a real pain in the ass to the players, and you don't ever hear them talking about him, calling plays and X's and O's because he never called plays. It was always Andy calling the plays. I wonder if that was the case for Doug Peterson, who was before, or Matt Nagy was before Eric Bieniemy, and Doug Peterson was before Matt Nagy. I'm wondering if that was the case for Matt Nagy and Doug Peterson. I wonder if they were calling plays.
I'll tell you what, just like you, he's got a big mouth and a microphone. And here we go. All right, 6:17. We're just getting started. Boomer and Gio on a summer Friday, a feel-good Friday. Coming to you live from the Built Ford Tough Studio, 877-337-6666. We get CeeLo in next on the Fan and CBS Sports Network.